Season 1, Episode 2. Scene opens at Etheria, a large fantasy castle built into the side of the mountain. The place is used by enchanters, and also contains a few very valuable artifacts. The camera moves down to two shadowy figures just outside the castle, hiding over the edge of a small hill.
There it is, Grim. If we pull this off, I'm about to become a very wealthy man. Affirmative, grunts. Hand me the schematics. Come on, hurry up.
Grim hands Jalkar some papers, who begins looking them over.
According to these schematics. Grim, what is all this? I asked for schematics. I specifically asked for schematics of Etheria. Confused grunts. How are we supposed to steal the stone when we don't even know which tower it's in? Defensive grunts. Alright, you don't have to shout. You're gonna get us caught before we've even started. We'll just have to do what I do best. Improvise. Stick behind me and don't do anything stupid.
Cuts to Jalkar and Grim walking through the Etheria castle. Magnarites are walking about working, and they try to act natural. They pass by some weapons on display, and Grim notices an enchanted scythe. He begins pointing towards it and grunting, trying to get Jalkar's attention.
A few grunts as you attempt to get Jalkar's attention.
Jalkar turns around and scowls and continues walking. Grim hurries off. Jalkar makes it to the end of the room and turns around. He sees Grim purchasing the enchanted scythe. He shouts quietly to himself.
Oh, now what are you doing?
Grim walks up to Jalkar and joyously presents his new scythe.
Happy grunt.
Jalkar responds again, somewhat angrily, but still trying to keep his voice down.
Grim, you don't buy from the people you're stealing from. Now, let's keep moving.
They arrive at the top of the castle and enter one of the side towers. A guard turns around as they enter, but Jalkar quickly and quietly kills him. As he lets the body down quietly, he looks back up and walks forward, revealing the Overdragon egg in the middle of the room.
Watch the entrance, eh, Grim?
Grim covers the entrance as Jalkar approaches the egg, and he carefully picks it up. A redstone click noise is heard. Despite the problem, Jalkar keeps surprisingly calm for the first half of his next sentence, as if he is almost laughing at his own failure to check for redstone, but then begins yelling at the end.
A pressure plate. It was gummy wired. It was gummy wired. Run!
Jalkar runs to the back of the room and slides down a chandelier, landing on a lower portion of the castle. Grim follows, and they continue running through the castle and the crowds of confused Magnarites. Suddenly, a small crowd of guards blocks their way. Grim charges through past Jalkar and begins taking them out. Jalkar then heads off the road and begins hurrying down the mountain. Cut to slightly later. Jalkar has made it fairly far around the side of the mountain and stops to catch his breath.
We did it, Grim. I'm gonna be rich.
His sentence is cut off as Grim continues tumbling into him from behind. Jalkar loses the egg, which falls over the side of a small cliff. The egg lands at the bottom and teleports away with a loud boom. A trail of energy can be seen pointing in the direction the egg went.
Grim, you idiot.
Defensive grunt.
Now we have to find it again before someone else does. Disappointed, Grim.
Jalkar sighs and takes a moment to collect himself.
The energy trail pointed south, towards Underwood.
Grunt.
You're right. It is heading away from Etheria. So, let's get moving.
They move off towards Underwood. Cuts to Mount Velgrin. Many Voltaris are peacefully working. Music reflects the serene mood. Camera moves over a hill, and on the other side, two younger Voltaris are sparring with diamond swords. Suddenly, one knocks the other backwards into a small pond with a splash. Oh, are you alright, Sen? Sen struggles back up out of the water. A lily pad slides off his head.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Rhea reaches her hand down to help Sen out of the pond. After grabbing her hand, he yanks her and pulls her into the pond beside him.
Aha!
Sen climbs out of the pond. Rhea gets back up in the pond, looking angry but also smiling. That's not fair.
Do you think the Reapers fight fair? Or Ardonia? Or the many other dangers out in the world?
Rhea climbs out of the pond. And how are we gonna get out there? They engage a bit more. Sen holds his ground better now.
One day we will. Somehow.
Music raises a bit. Cuts to a shot of horse feet galloping along. Camera shows a wide angle of an unidentifiable horse rider approaching the area. He rides up and stops on a low hill, looking down at Sen and Rhea. His face is still not revealed. Back to Sen and Rhea. More clashing. Suddenly, Sen pulls back. Rhea charges forward, sword raised high. She stops suddenly as Sen stoops down passively, hands on his knees.
Rhea Voltaris.
Rhea is a bit shy, wondering what Sen is about to say next. Yes?
I made you something. It's not the most beautiful weapon in the overworld, but...
Sen draws a long diamond pole with a thin candy blade at the end. Sen, this is incredible. I love it. Rhea twirls the sword around, getting a feel for its balance. If Father sees this, he's going to take it away.
Then I'll make you another one.
Sen smiles, and Rhea smiles back. She continues twirling it. Of course, but now I'm going to destroy you with a weapon like this. Sen raises his sword defensively. Rhea moves in to attack, but another sword blocks the attack. A familiar voice speaks to them.
Our strength comes from not the power of our weapons, but rather how we choose to wield what power we have been given.
Rhea draws back, surprised. Thalius! Thalius is interested in the weapon Rhea's holding.
Is this weapon your handiwork, Sen?
Thalius reaches for it, and she hands it over obediently.
Yes it is. Your arrival is most welcome, Kai Thalius, but unexpected all the same.
He bows to him lightly, and he turns to address them both.
It was unexpected events which have led me here. It's good to see you both. Is Rhea still besting you?
Thalius turns to Sen at this question. They respond at the same time.
No.
Yes. Thalius smiles. He hands the weapon back to Rhea.
It is a fine weapon, Sen. The candy is rather worn down. Perfect for battle.
Rhea takes the blade back as Thalius' horse, Timber, approaches. Sen pets Timber, too humble to discuss the compliment further.
Thank you. Hello, Timber.
Thalius turns back to Rhea, who holds the weapon, wondering what he'll say next.
Your father would not approve of this training.
I know.
And he definitely would not want you to have what I am about to give you. You cannot tell anyone about this.
They both hurry forward to him, excited.
What'd you bring us?
Thalius reaches into his inventory, and in each hand pulls out Ingressus. Both Sen and Rhea look surprised as they see them. Ingressus? For us?
In the old days, it was common for Voltaris of your age to wield Ingressus. It is your unique ability to harness their power. To deny their usage is to deny the very thing that makes you Voltaris.
Thalius hands them each their Ingressus.
Will you teach us how to use them? Patience, young ones. First, I have some important business to take care of. Now remember, you cannot let Obsidian know about.
Obsidian's voice is heard approaching.
Thalius? Is that you?
Thalius turns towards Obsidian. Sen and Rhea hide their Ingressus.
Obsidian, apologies for arriving uninvited. Thalius, Mount Velgrin is not your home. You shouldn't be here right now.
Then Obsidian turns towards Sen and Rhea and resumes his friendly demeanor.
Ah, but you two. I specifically told you to stay together. Rhea, you have too many responsibilities to go gallivanting off into Ardonia on your own.
I know, because I'm one of the few surviving female Voltaris. You've told me before.
And Sen, I wish you would respect my wishes and keep an eye on Rhea. I raised you as a member of this clan, even if you are not by blood.
Thalius tries to help out.
Alright, Obsidian. I think they've heard enough for today. I have matters of great urgency to discuss with you. Fine. Then best we head indoors. You two, please go back to your room together and remain there until I summon you.
Obsidian motions towards Sen and Rhea, who glance at each other and hurry off to their room. Obsidian and Thalius walk off together. Cut to Sen and Rhea's room. They climb up onto their beds and wait for a moment, then pull out their Ingressus and hold the mysterious objects. A faint humming can be heard from the Ingressus as the scene cuts to a shot of iron bars. A figure stands behind, facing away from the camera. The warden, Marcus, walks by and bangs on the bars. The figure turns around to face the camera, revealing Lucan. Cut to the warden's office. Lucan sits on one side of the chair, Marcus on the other, leafing through a book. A cake is on the table. While Marcus is sitting up straight and appears very uptight and official, Lucan is reclined in his chair and fidgeting around more so.
Alright, Lucan. Since you continue to show good behavior and your crimes were, once again, minor, we're going to accelerate your release.
Lucan leans up in his chair and begins reaching for the cake.
So that explains the cake. A celebration. Don't touch my cake.
Lucan stops and waits for Marcus to continue.
There is one condition. You're being assigned to mining duty near the basalt coast.
Lucan withdraws his hand, a bit worried now.
Mining duty? You sure that paper doesn't read milling duty?
Marcus furrows his eyebrows.
Guess not. So, mining duty, huh? You mean underground, where the reapers are? You'll be protected by a guard like every other miner. There's no need to worry, Lucan. I'm feeling much safer here in jail, actually. Say, what about road repair duty? Or home animal domestication?
Lucan reaches for the cake again. Marcus puts his hand on the cake to stop him as he cuts Lucan off mid-sentence.
This isn't a request, it's an assignment. You know how things are. Mines running dry. Resources getting scarce. We're being forced to mine deeper into the dangers that lie below.
Lucan leans over the table and gets a bit close to Marcus's personal space.
If you wanted to kill me, we could have just gone with an execution.
Lucan leaves the room and Marcus returns to his book. He looks over the edge of the table and only one slice of the cake is there. Cut to outside. Lucan is carrying the rest of the cake and eating it as he steps outside. He looks around the town of Riverstead, then begins heading to the basalt coast. Cut back to Mount Velgrin. Rhea is sneaking out and makes it to an Ingressus shrine. She pulls out her Ingressus that Thalius gave her. She starts moving to place it in one of the slots when Sen's voice startles her.
Rhea, what are you doing?
Rhea puts away her Ingressus quickly. What? Nothing. What are you doing here? Sen quickly puts his Ingressus away as well that he was holding.
Keeping an eye on you like I'm supposed to.
They both smile, slightly giggling. Sen, Osivian is right about some things.
What do you mean?
I'm one of the few remaining female Voltarists, and you're clanless. We'll never be going on crazy adventures like the stories Thalius tells. Rhea draws the spear that Sen made for her and tries to hand it to him. Here, you'll probably want this back.
It was meant for you, Rhea. Keep it.
Sen pushes it back towards her. She looks up at him, then hugs him. Cut to a bit later. Sen is walking back towards their room. He stops and turns as he sees the light still on in the main hall, and raises an eyebrow inquisitively. Cut to inside the hall. Osivian and Thalius are talking.
They were Kaltaris, at least 7 of them. I have reported this to the masters, but they refuse to take action. And why would they listen? You have spoken about the Kaltaris and their return for the last 100 years. Without evidence, your words can only fall on deaf ears. I understand, which is why I am not here to raise an army. If I cannot convince you, all I can do is prepare.
Suddenly, Osivian and Thalius stop and look towards the doorway. Thalius speaks a bit more quietly to Osivian.
Someone is listening.
Cuts to Sen outside. He hears this and begins slowly sneaking away. Thalius' running can be heard faintly. Then Sen bumps into Thalius.
Thalius?
Osivian walks outside angrily.
Sen, why aren't you with Rhea? How much did you overhear? Nothing. I was just passing by. You were supposed to be watching over Rhea. I believe a stricter punishment is in order.
Thalius intervenes.
That will not be necessary, Osivian. I will take him with me on my journey, and you can watch over Rhea yourself.
Thalius winks at Sen, who smiles slightly in return. Osivian waits a moment, then concedes.
I expect an improvement in your attitude when you return, Sen.
Osivian motions to Thalius.
Take him back to the room, and make sure he and Rhea both get there.
Cuts to Thalius walking Sen back to his place. Sen is excited.
I'm really going to travel with you? How far are we going? What should I bring?
Sen stops as he realizes something.
Rhea would have wanted to come. Perhaps another time. Now get some sleep. Osivian will be watching over Rhea, and we have a long journey ahead of us. The overworld is a large world, and full of surprises.
As he says this, scene fades to Underwood, early morning. Camera lowers down under the trees. A pig is eating a patch of wild carrots as the camera rolls back to reveal a hunter preparing a bow to fire. Just before the hunter fires, a wolf begins barking, which scares the pig away. The hunter lets down her bow and turns around, revealing Abigail. Cuts to Sam, still barking. Abigail walks up behind it. What is it, Sam? I hope it's better than tomorrow's breakfast, because you just... Abigail stops and her eyes widen. Camera slides back to reveal the overdragon egg in a small clearing, marred by overstone. To be continued.